Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This is a little bit of a different video for me actually. So as you may or may not know, I am doing I'm trying to get my CDL license to operate and drive a public transit bus. Now, one of the most important things you must do each day before you drive off to do your run is to make sure your bus is properly inspected, which is called a pre-trip inspection. Now, this will be one of the things I have to do on the driving portion of the test once I get my test sent out, once I have my hours in on my permit. That's a little ways off, but I'm making this video mostly to kind of help educate myself and also give it as a template for myself to help me memorize this stuff. Now, granted, I'm going to be doing it once I start driving the bus on my permit. I'm going to be doing this pretty much every day anyway, so it'll basically become like second nature to me. But I can't do it very much right now, so I figured why not show some of you guys how to do it, well, at least the best of my ability anyway, with my current knowledge of transit buses. So let's get started here. First thing you want to do, obviously, is you want to start the bus. Alright, bus is started. Next thing you want to do, turn on all your lights, and you want to exit the vehicle. Okay, so let's start with the front of the bus. Now, you don't have to start with the front of the bus, but it is, for me, it's the best thing to do. Start with the exterior and move on to the interior. So, first thing you want to do here is you see these clearance lights. These clearance lights are always amber in color. They're properly mounted and secured. No cracks, no damage, no condensation, and they're all functioning normally. All hardware is present. Pretty standard stuff so far. So next thing you want to do is you want to check the windshield. The windshield has no cracks, no scratches, no obstructions, properly mounted and secured, all hardware present, and that's pretty much it actually, yeah. Also, you want to make sure the window seal is properly mounted and secured. No cracks, no damage, no dry rot. Looks pretty good. Okay. Next thing you want to check is the wipers. Make sure the wipers are properly mounted and secured. All hardware present, not damaged. The wiper blades are not damaged or not worn out. They're flush with the glass and they're functioning normally. You also want to check the washer fluid. Now, granted, I know the wiper blades don't work in BeamNG yet, but that's just for real life, obviously. You want to make sure your washer fluid is properly filled to the proper level. The washer nozzles are functioning normally. They're not damaged, they're not broken, and all hardware is present. Next thing you want to do is you want to check the lights. You want to check the headlights, you want to check the low beams, the high beams, the blinkers. The blinkers are always amber in color, all functioning normally, all hardware present, not cracked or damaged, and properly mounted. Same goes for headlights, all properly mounted and secured. No damage, no cracks, and all functioning normally. Next thing you want to do is you want to check the bumper. Now, the bumper is kind of important because if the bumper is leaning a certain way, it can either tell you that the bus is leaning a certain way, or the bumper itself is hanging down. So you want to make sure the bumper is properly mounted and secured, not dented or damaged. Properly mounted, all hardware present, not leaning to one side, stuff like that. I don't know if I can I crouch? Can I like lay down? I can't really. But now this bus doesn't have a front plate, but if it did, I'd say it's properly mounted, properly visible, and the registration is valid, so you won't get pulled over. Obviously, I'm assuming this bus doesn't need a front plate. I don't know why, so we're gonna just go with that. But what else is there? Oh yes, you want to make sure. Now, I forgot to mention this before. But when you're approaching the bus, before you want to check, you want to listen for any leaks, check for any leaks under the bus, whether it be fluids or air leaks, stuff like that. We'll get more in depth to the air. Is it moving? I guess it's just me. Once you're sure to check for the air leaks, check for stuff like that. Looks pretty good. No leaks, nothing like that at all. So looks pretty good. Nothing's hanging down underneath the bus, like nothing's hanging down or caught underneath the bus. So it's good. I don't typically do the mirrors until I'm inside the vehicle. So now this vehicle does not have an inspection sticker, but if it did, I'm starting now with the driver's side of the bus. You want to say inspection sticker is clearly visible and valid. So it looks pretty good. Now, I don't know if the Wentworth has any fuses, but our buses don't carry fuses. They carry circuit breakers. That's the thing you want to mention to the instructor when you're doing your pre-trip. But I'm going to assume the Wentworth has if the Wentworth had fuses, you want to say we have spare fuses for this panel right here. Driver's window, probably mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. All the window seals properly mounted and secured. All the windows properly mounted and secured. No cracks, no damage. All hardware is present. The marker lights here. This one is amber in color, and this one is red in color. Remember that. All right. Lower marker lights, amber in color. Amber in color, probably mounted and secured. No damage, no cracks, no condensation. Looks pretty good. Alright, the tires. Alright, so we're going to move on next to the tires. The tires are some of the most important parts of the bus. Now, for the front tires, you want to make sure that the front tire's tread depth is no lower than 4/32. Also, the front tires cannot be recapped or retread. They're properly mounted and secured. They're evenly worn. They're properly inflated, and they have no cuts or chunks missing from the sidewall. Let me tell you, the last thing you want to have is a blowout when you're driving the bus, especially in the steer tires. Now, let me get a little closer here. Now you don't really see any valve stems on these wheels, but if we could, I would say the valve stems are properly attached and properly capped. The wheels, or well, I guess some inspectors call them the rims. So the rims are properly mounted and secured, no dents, no welds. The lug nuts are properly mounted and properly tightened, no shiny spots, no rust. If shiny spots or rust would indicate that they're loose. Some lugs have a little flags that you put on this, and they're all in the same direction. That means they're all tightened properly, stuff like that. The hubs contain liquid, and you want to make sure the liquid in these hubs are at a proper level. They're properly mounted and secured, properly tightened, and are not leaking. You don't want that to happen. Alright, looks pretty good. Okay, we'll move on here to the rear of the bus. The rear tire is pretty much the same thing, except the rear tires can be recapped or retread, and they can be at a tread depth of no more than 2/32. Now, another thing you want to also check out is, well, we can't quite see it, but I'm going to use free cam here for a second here. So, hang on, let me just get a good view here. So, obviously, in the rear you have dual tires in the rear of the bus. You want to make sure that these tires, these tires are not being obstructed, or they're not too close together, something like that. So looks pretty good, obviously. Alright, move on to the rim. So I forgot to mention, there's no chunks missing from the tires. They're evenly worn. They're properly mounted, properly inflated. All looks good. Next, you move on to the wheels. Wheels are properly mounted and secured, no dents, no welds. The valve stems properly mounted and capped. The lug nuts are properly secured, properly tightened, no rust or shiny spots. The rear hubs have the proper fluid level. Now this panel here, can you shut the fuck up? This panel right here contains what would be the radiator. Now obviously I don't know if I can even look. Can I even pull this off? I don't want to pull it off. Well, we're not expected to open these panels up for the test, but you need to know what's behind this panel. So what will be behind this panel is going to be the radiator, you know, and the radiator fans. So you want to say, you know, radiator is properly mounted and secured, no damage. The fans are properly mounted and secure, all functioning normally. The radiator fluid is topped off to the proper level, and all hardware is present. All that stuff. All right, we'll move on to the rear of the bus. So we'll start from the top once again. The exhaust is properly mounted and secured, no damage. It's not touching any wires or hoses, but that's not good. Upper clearance lights are red in color, properly mounted and secured, functioning normally, no cracks, no condensation. Brake lights are properly mounted and secured, are functioning normally, no cracks, no damage, and all hardware is present. Turn signals are amber in color, properly mounted and secured, function normally, no damage, no cracks. Reverse lights functioning normally, all properly mounted and secured. They are white in color, and are all hardware is present. The rear plate is properly visible, properly mounted. Registration is valid, and the plate light is properly mounted, secured, and functioning normally. Now behind here would be the engine compartment. Now, like I said, we're not expected to open up the engine compartment and point out every single little thing, but what we would say technically, definitely would be, you know, all fluid levels, oil level is at the proper level. Now, typically a bus has 4 belts: an alternator belt, air conditioning belt, air conditioning compressor belt, air compressor belt for the air brakes, and a power steering belt. And you want to make sure all these belts are snug, no more than 3/4 inch play at the center of each belt. All the belts, all the hoses are properly mounted and secured, no damage, no dry rot, nothing's leaking. Gotta make sure you check nothing's leaking from the bus, and everything is functioning normally. Lastly, we gotta check the rear bumper. It's just the same as the front bumper, properly mounted and secured, not hanging. All hardware's present. Looks pretty good. Okay, we'll go to the driver's side of the bus. All right. I don't think there's anything particular here, but there is no clear doors here for battery compartment. So we're gonna go over that in a little bit. Same thing for the marker lights: red in color, amber in color. Windows properly mounted and secured, no damage, no cracks. The seals are properly mounted and secured. The doors, you want to make sure the doors have no cracks in the glass, nothing, no damage. The seals are properly secured, no damage. That goes for both the front and the rear door here. Marker lights are amber in color, properly mounted and secured, functioning normally, no damage. Looks pretty good. I'm not going to go over the tires again, but it's basically the same as the other side. You know, properly mounted. These can be recapped and retread. 2 30 seconds for the rear, and 4 are the minimum for the front. So that's pretty much it. I forgot to also mention, if this bus has mud flaps, you say mud flaps are properly mounted and secured. They're not dragging, they're not hanging, and they're not damaged. Alright, looks pretty good. So I think that basically does it. You don't really count the marquee as part of the thing. But that basically does it for the outside of the bus. So now we're going to go into the interior of the bus. So, alright. Alright, so we're gonna just hop in here if I can. Oh, Jesus. Oops. Alright, so we're gonna start with the passenger compartment of the bus. If I can move. Can I move around here? Okay. Alright, I can't move around here very much, so we're gonna use my free cam here to kind of like. God damn it. We're gonna use the free cam here to kind of like give you guys a good view. So, first thing you want to do is you want to check all emergency exits. So this particular bus has the 2 roof exits, and typically they have at least 2 or 4 window emergency exits. And yes, the doors do also count as emergency exits in the event of an accident. So you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 emergency exits, all properly mounted and secured. Some instructors might have you check the roof hatches and open them up and stuff like that. It's all dependent on the instructor who is taking the test. So you want to make sure that the bus's exits all function normally. I also forgot to mention, you make sure this doesn't have steps, but make sure the steps are free of obstruction. Make sure there's no damage. They're properly mounted and secured. This bus does also not have a wheelchair lift, so I'm not going to cover that. But if it did, I would say, well, we really don't even cover the lift in the pre-trip, but you want to make sure it works because you are required by law to pick up handicapped passengers. You want to make sure all the seats are properly mounted and secured. Nothing's missing. All hardware is present. No damage. All the handrails are properly mounted and secured. No damage. Interior lights don't really count as far as a safety aspect, so we can just gloss over that. Now, right here would typically be where your first aid kit and your emergency kit is. So, like, make sure your emergency kit's there. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher that's properly charged and properly rated for a fire. Make sure you have at least 3 warning triangles and or flare. Also, maybe make sure you have at least 3 flares and a emergency spill kit. So, like bodily fluids, like blood or vomit or something like that. Make sure you have that in there. All that good stuff. Okay, I think this is for the passenger compartment. We're gonna go ahead and check out the driver's compartment. So, typically right around here you have your seatbelt cutter. You want to make sure that's present, properly mounted and secured, easily to reach. Alright, so here is, I'm going to start off with my mirrors. So my driver's side mirror is properly mounted and secured, properly adjusted, no cracks, no damage. Driver's passenger mirror is properly mounted and secured, no cracks, no damage. All that good shit, you know. Now, I know the rear view mirror in BeamNG is kind of broken. This shouldn't be what you can't see out the back of the bus. This mirror is meant for making sure your passengers aren't doing some goofy stuff behind you. So but that is technically part of the inspection. Properly mounted and secured, no cracks, no damage. All hardware is present. Okay. So we're gonna go check out the gauges here. So want to make sure you point out, like, here's your air pressure, here's your fuel, your speedometer, your oil pressure, water temperature, and battery voltmeter. There is no, I don't see any gauges for DEF, but if it did have one, you want to label your DEF fluid on this bus. I'm gonna try to plug it now. I think that'd be good. All right. Here's the shifter here. All function normally. All hardware present. Windshield wipers, which obviously you can't use in BeamNG. Defroster, fan, speed, climate control. The start button. And then on this side here you have your door controls all functioning normally, your parking brake, your headlights. Don't want to do that. Shit. There we go. You know, your speaker aisle lights, all these switches. Now it all varies from buses to bus. I'm not now this bus has a retarder. I didn't know that, but you can't use the retarder on this bus because BeamNG hasn't implemented that yet. All right, so next you want to do is check the steering wheel. Make sure the steering wheel has no more than 2 inches of play in the wheel. Check the horn. You want to check the pedals. You want to make sure the pedals are grooved. There's no smooth surfaces on the pedals. And you want to make sure your seat is properly adjusted and properly mounted and secured. All hardware present for the seat. I think that pretty much covers it. The last thing you need to do is you want to check the brakes. So we're going to bring up the HUD again here so I can actually see what I'm doing. Alright. So, alright. Let's close the doors up here. That will just engage the safety interlock here. Alright, so we're currently in park. So first thing you want to do is you want to turn off the bus. I didn't want to press that button, goddammit. Alright, now this BeamNG does not properly simulate air braking. That air gauge will never leave. Will never go down. So what you're supposed to do is you turn off the bus for 1 minute, and the air pressure should go back up in about, I think, like 8 seconds, I believe. I can't remember. Like I said, this is not like my final exam thing. This is just kind of like to teach you guys something and kind of help me remember some of the things. And then you want to do an applied braking test. So you start up the bus again here. You want to do an applied braking test. You hold the brake down like this, and you turn it off, and you leave it going for 1 minute. And then you let off, and you start off the bus again, and it should go a certain, I can't remember what it is, it should go a certain PSI in so many seconds. I can't remember what it is exactly, but like I said, if this game simulated proper air pressure, air braking, it would make a lot more sense. So we're going to turn off the bus again. And what you're supposed to do here is pump the brakes. You keep pumping the brakes until the spring brake comes on. The spring brake is the parking brake, but the spring brakes are mechanical. So if for some reason your air brakes were to fail, the spring brake would activate, stopping your bus. Like I said, BeamNG does not have proper simulation for air braking, so I can't really show you guys this, but I'm trying my best to explain it here. So then again, and you start up the bus again, and it should go from 50 to 80 psi, at least on the buses we have, in about 45 seconds. And then the last thing you have to do is, so we're going to apply the parking brake, put it in drive, give it a little gas. It's not moving. Alright. Now we do the apply braking test where you put it in gear and it stops. Looks good. So that's basically it. I tried my best to explain it as quickly as possible because now we're at about 25 minutes. Typically a pre-trip inspection will run you about, if you're good at it, it'll run you about 10 to 15 minutes. Now granted, I'm not the best at doing this yet, but with plenty of practice, I'll have plenty of experience and show you guys hopefully an updated version of how to do it. It'll be a lot shorter than this one. So until next time, guys, I hope you guys had a good one. I'm getting the heck out of here, so I'll see y'all in the next one. See y'all later.